Detective Rivera with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Today's date is February 24th, 2010. The time is 4:16. In the room with me right now is a Thomas George Tobin. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you see any blood in the water or anything like that?
Well, that's part of it. She was scalped and there was no blood.
Okay.
So pretty much we knew then that the heart wasn't beating.
Once they were able to pull her away, how did he let go of the...
He didn't.
He never let go of the...
The arm?
The arm.
He swallowed it.
He swallowed it? So the arm is nowhere.
Right.
Situation with Don Brancho, it didn't just happen. It's not a singular event. You have to go back over 20 years to understand this.
Nicholson.
Hi Holly, what do you know about the film Blackfish?
Blackfish is a documentary that came out after the trainer Don Bradshaw got killed by Tillicum, and it is when the media started publicizing all of the things that SeaWorld has been covering up.
And how did it make you feel about SeaWorld?
After seeing the film Blackfish, I was very disheartened because I have grown up going to SeaWorld, and as a kid it was very neat going to SeaWorld and seeing the whales being trained and how they interact with their trainers. But after finding out all the things that SeaWorld has been hiding, it was very shocking.
And how do you feel SeaWorld reacted to the allegations brought to light by the film?
SeaWorld acted very inappropriately. They, for one, avoided being interviewed at all for the documentary. They wouldn't have any statements or comments to be made about the people who interviewed them. They also would go back and try to reword the scenarios on what happened, and they always tried to make it to where it was like the trainer or handler's fault and not the whales.
Do you feel that the way SeaWorld goes about capturing killer whales is okay?
I do not. Whales as a species are very interconnected, and they don't always stay with their pods for life, and separating the whales in such a traumatic way is very traumatizing to the whales, and that probably causes a lot of psychological distress.
Okay, and lastly, do you know who Tillicum is?
Tillicum is the whale who killed head trainer Don Bradshaw, and that incident happened most recently, and they SeaWorld tried to cover up the film, and this instance is the one that really was exploded in the media, and that's what triggered the film Blackfish to be made about all the things that SeaWorld has been covering up.
Thank you, Holly.
Hello, I'm Justin Alperstein, and I'm being interviewed by Chrissy Keys.
Alrighty. Okay. So have you been to SeaWorld?
Yes, I have.
Alrighty. And did you enjoy the experience there when you were before seeing the movie?
Yes. I saw the Shamu show, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's awesome.
Right.
And the guy is swimming with Shamu, so...
So, and you've seen the movie Blackfish now.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about SeaWorld now after seeing that film?
Well, I can tell you I'm not going back. I don't agree with whales being in captivity, as SeaWorld has a propensity to keep their animals.
So the movie definitely affected how you felt because you didn't have any idea about these issues beforehand.
No, and for SeaWorld to blatantly lie, according to the movie that is, one key fact is, according to the movie, the trainer says animals, whales, tend to live to 35, and according to the movie, that's completely false. They can live up to 100 and typically live to a lot longer than 35. Furthermore, there was another line saying that it's typical for killer whales to have an arched fin, I guess, and according to animal biologists, marine biologists, that is completely inaccurate.
Right. So you were definitely, what emotional reaction did the movie kind of give you?
Well, the movie definitely plays on the emotion part throughout its countless interviews with people that interacted at SeaWorld with these animals, so you're going to tend to get this emotional bias, which I can completely agree that I fell into the trap of, and I was angry. I was displeased, couldn't believe that we're letting this happen, and people are willing to pay for it. And frankly, I was ashamed of myself for paying for it in the first place.
Right. So did you like seek out any extra information via like online, anything like that after you saw the movie?
Yeah, I mean, movies can tend to paint a picture that they wanted to paint, and only showing, for the majority of the movie, eyewitness accounts from people that have very similar views of SeaWorld, you can tend to experience a bias. And I wanted to see, where there possibly were inaccuracies, where there were accuracies, and from what I found, and I didn't do an extensive amount of research, the movie does draw that emotional appeal. However, a majority of it is true.
Right. So media-wise, did you feel like the framing of the way the media covered the story after the film, because it was pretty controversial?
Yeah.
Did you notice, obviously they were on the same side as the film for the majority. Did you have any reaction to that?
I mean, typical media bias, they're playing into whatever their audience wants to hear.
Right.
And at that time, and still to this day, I would argue that SeaWorld is paying the price for that movie and for their action.
All right. Thanks, Justin.
You're at FSU, and I'm here to answer some questions about the short film called Blackfish.
Excellent. What do you know about the film Blackfish, Mr.?
I didn't actually see the full film itself, but just based on the trailer that I've seen in certain different segments of the video that I actually seen, it seems like it's a video basically going over SeaWorld and how they treat the animals.
True. How does it make you feel about SeaWorld?
Personally, I kind of already knew about situations like this concerning the treatment of certain animals at SeaWorld. I know one thing that stood out in the short film Blackfish was when they was actually kidnapping the baby killer whales from their actual pods that they swim. And they mentioned that that can cause a lot of psychological damage to them, being separated from their pod at such a young age, and then being held into captivity, and then being basically trained to eat at certain times or to do certain tricks or something like that. So personally, I feel like is wrong to really do that to any animal, separate us from his family just to make money off of it.
True. How do you feel SeaWorld reacted to the allegations brought to light by the film?
Personally, I felt like they didn't want to take accountability to what had happened. I felt like instead of really telling the truth and saying that this was due to psychological issues that the animals had, psychological issues that the whale had went through, basically being separated, they instead blamed it on the trainer, which to a certain degree I feel like that's an unfair judgment to say it's the trainer, even though the trainer has worked with the whale since it was very young. So the trainer should know the whale the best. I felt like they didn't really want to take accountability because, of course, they didn't want to get a bad name for themselves, and SeaWorld is very profitable, so any type of negative attention in the news would, of course, affect their profits. So I felt like they want to basically cover up what was really going on.
Excellent. Thank you.
No problem.
Sounding out, Florida State.